So bad. Welcome back to another episode of the 144 podcast. I, as always, am your lovable blonde host with hair. One point this year, I didn't have much hair. They called me Caillou. I was bullied a lot, but I have hair now. If you cannot tell. Join me tonight. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you driving me? And is this my car, or where exactly are we exactly?
Couple of different things to start off this lovely conversation. Hi, I'm Emilio Estevez. I am from South Africa. A lot of times people think that I like cocaine. I don't. He is in my car because he owed me something and he has not given it to me. That's why we're doing this. I love podcasts. This is his payment for me. Okay, I gave him some goods, and he has yet to pay me back. Okay, so
he did all of this because I ate a Shackalicious gummy. He was my Uber driver. It just
by the way, we are not. We're not being paid to say that,
but we will.
We will happily. I'm just saying.
I've endorsed products before.
Many.
This podcast has seen Red Thunder get shout out, Cheerwine get shout out. We did a Hey Dude shout out that was not uploaded, and we did ramen. But we will, of course, shout out the Shackalicious gummies.
I will say this: if you've never eaten a Shack head, you ain't living. Just saying.
You got it.
I'm telling you, he's already going hands deep in it. Like, what we doing? Also, he does not eat gummies like normal
they're
people.
really thick. You got to admit, these are thick gummies.
He sucks on it like what's that candy that you suck on?
Lollipop.
No, not lollipop.
Well, that's how I'm doing it.
It's the one that Jolly Ranchers. It's like those. Like after a while, they can get a little chewy, but it's like he eats it like that. That's not how you eat gummies.
It's not like a gummy bear. It's a really tough, because you got to admit, when we saw them in the store, I was like, these kind of seem kind of tough, because we were like, I was squeezing the bag. I was like, because I felt it, and I was like, these are kind of a tough gummy. So I was squeezing the bag, and I was like, this is not like, I squeezed this, and then I squeezed the gummy bears. I was like, the gummy bears are more squishier. I was like, these, I was like, I don't know, but I don't know. They're really good.
That's such a strange comparison to make, in my honest opinion. He's a very silly young man. So, and also, like, how is it that you go from, oh, this is really tough, I'm going to eat it like a Jolly Rancher, something that actually is really hard, and then you start sucking on Shaq's head.
I think I'm eating it like a lollipop. I wouldn't know about, because you don't take Jolly Ranchers in and out of your mouth. I think you do it with a lollipop. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, you can do a Jolly Rancher.
You could, but then your hands would get all sticky.
Yeah, that's a good point. You just got me there.
What was that thing we were talking about at Walmart? It was the gummy gaming controller.
Okay.
And it was like, that'd be the worst thing to give anybody, because like, think if you're just sitting there like playing your video games, your brother comes in, he sits down, he's like, bro, pass me a controller, I want to play. You give him that gummy controller. Like, first off, it's not what he wants. Second, his hands are going to be so sticky.
I said this in the Walmart. They should just put a contact chip into that gaming. Stop giggling. And when you, as a kid, you're like, hey, mommy, can I have a new controller for my PlayStation? And you're like, yes, son. And then you give him the gummy controller.
Just in my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna imagine my hands being sticky after that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be like trying to like actually do something productive, and my hands just gonna be all sticky, and it's gonna ruin my day.
Knowing how like gummies themselves get really sticky, but when you're playing games, your hands get sweaty, so it just makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So
well, these Shaq gummies aren't that sticky.
Yeah, they aren't sticky at all.
They're not really sticky, but
like hold up, like I can easily run my hand across this just fine. Like, it's not sticky at all.
No.
It's not like kind of like Haribo. They'll get a little bit sticky after a while. These, they don't. They've been relatively decent. I've had them most of the day now. So
you ever had those like 5-pound gummy bears they sell at the?
I've always wanted.
I got one time,
and you didn't think to share with me.
I didn't know you. This was many years before we met.
That's such an excuse, right? That's just.
I am kind of a hater.
You see this? He is a hater.
But no, so I think I only ate the head. I ate part of the head, and then I had to throw it out because it was like 5 pounds of a gummy bear.
Dude, that right there is quitting behavior. That's not how you deal with life. Like, you gotta go for it, man. You gotta go all in.
Go all in.
Go all in. You know, just like Nike says, just do it.
I thought you were gonna say go all in. I was like, that's not the Nike logo. I was ready to call you out so quickly. You know what? I am gonna call you out. You threw your trash out the window before we started. That is littering.
Hey.
That is terrible.
So I brought up right before we started, the SpongeBob policeman who beat people with batons when they littered. I'm seriously afraid for my life that they're gonna come up right next to me. They'll be like, "Hey kid, I see you littered right outside your window. Is there a problem?" And he's gonna grab me out of my window. He starts hitting me with a baton over and over.
Have you seen those memes when the 2022 Batman came out, where it was like me walking down the streets of Gotham, and it's like I accidentally like throw my trash down, and Batman just comes out and he just starts beating you up
Is that
to
the
a
one
pole.
where? Is that the one where it's like you're just walking around and then you do something silly and it's, hey, and right behind him is that Batman with the beard.
That's the one.
I see you're a litter bug. He starts beating him up.
What did you think of that Batman movie? Because I thought it was the 2022 one with Robert Pattinson.
Okay, who's ready for a hot take? Who's ready for a hot take?
I'm already mad.
He's already mad. Okay, so preface this. Do you like the Batman? The 2022 one?
So, it's not my favorite Batman. My favorite Batman is always going to be Dark Knight. Because the first Batman movie I ever saw was The Dark Knight Rises. And seeing that as your first ever Batman movie with like the live action and with Christian Bale in general, you're kind of like, okay, because it was like the third installment of the trilogy. You're still kind of like, you didn't understand, but then you start like watching them in order.
Mm-hmm.
So I started watching, I saw Batman Begins after that, and then I saw The Dark Knight. And then I went back and I watched The Dark Knight Rises, and I was like, I understand so much more now about this third movie after I've watched these other two, because the third one, it's like, a lot of people don't like sequels. A lot of people hate sequels. But those three Batmans, like, you can watch any of them separately. Each one is just as good as the last one. But I think The Dark Knight is the best Batman movie. But so I was going into that, and when I first saw the 2022 Batman, like, I hate that it's just Batman. Like, it's just because there's like it's the Batman. Like, there's so many Batman movies out there. You have the Christian Bale, you have the OG. What's his name?
So you got
the George Clooney ones too.
It's Adam something, but
no, it's not.
Like the '60s one.
Oh, that's Adam West.
Adam West.
I know him from Family Guy. Dude, he was big on Family Guy towards the end. Are you kidding?
Why the heck did you just say, "Oh, I know him from Family Guy"?
No. So like his name on Family Guy was Mayor Adam West. That was his character. Yeah. His actual name is Adam West.
Yeah.
So like he was running with Family Guy up until he died. Like he was still doing Family Guy episodes, and then he died, and it was like it wasn't well known to me that Adam West died. Like I'm sure there was announcements.
Honestly,
about it.
I still forget that he died because like he's such a big name. He still growing up, he actually did voice act a lot of kids' movies and shows.
No, it was insane.
Which I think is really cool, just because people that there's so many people that actually take a lot of different like shows. Like, you can go back and watch a bunch of old shows that you grew up with, and you'll notice some names. Like 100%. Like sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch something like Gravity Falls, which I grew up with, and they got my boy J.K. Simmons in it.
No, J.K. Simmons in Gravity Falls had no idea who he was until I started watching like big movies.
Yeah,
I'm seeing J.K. Simmons in it. I'm like, I know this guy's voice from. And then I go back and I watch Gravity Falls.
He has such an iconic voice.
Did you ever watch him in the Korra, the Avatar show?
Yeah.
Have you seen Whiplash?
I have seen Whiplash.
Someone made a compilation where they switched his acting. They took the Whiplash dialogue, put it in the Legend of Korra show for when he's talking Legend of Korra. So you hear him just going off on Korra and like his random children, and he's using like the same words that he was saying in Whiplash, and it's just so out of pocket, but it's so funny.
So, just to say it out there about Whiplash, that is extremely messed up if you know what Whiplash is, because he says some things in that movie that will make you and many generations after feel it. Like it hits you like a truck, dude. But anyway, back to the Batman.
No. So
oh, okay, never mind. He's like, nope.
No, so I was going back to the Batman movie. So yeah, when I saw the Batman, we got all the way back there because I said something about the title.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it again, but I've already said it. So when I saw the Batman in 2022, I went with my buddy Cooper and one of the better friends, Bailey. So all three of us, we roll up in there, three guys, we're chilling, and we're watching it. And like after seeing The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins. I saw some of the first live action Batman movies by then, so I'm watching it and go through the entire movie, and I'm like it's okay, it's okay. Then on the truck ride home, we're talking about the movie, and I'm like, it's just okay. And then eventually, I started watching some clips on YouTube, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this movie was a lot better than what I'm thinking of, because I'm thinking it through the eyes of, oh, this is Christian Bale doing another role. Like, no, this isn't Christian Bale at all. This is Robert Pattinson. So I had to get off of the Christian Bale view and start seeing it through the eyes of, this is a whole different guy doing a whole different type of Batman. This Batman's more broody. This Batman is kind of what Christian Bale's Batman was towards the end. You don't see a lot of Bruce Wayne. You see a lot more Batman in the trilogy he did. You saw Bruce Wayne and Batman. In this one, you mostly see Batman, and he's very brutish. You can tell, obviously, he's fighting demons on the inside. You didn't see a lot of that in the Dark Knight trilogy. You saw some of it towards the end of the trilogy, but in that first Batman movie you see with Robert Pattinson, he's fighting demons in that one. You can kind of see it.
All right.
So after thinking back and thinking about it, and going back and watching clips, I'm like, this is actually really good movie for Batman. Granted, it's not the best Batman movie, but it's the amount of people they've had come in and play Batman. It's hard to beat the best Batman movie just because of where it's at.
Yeah.
And I think the best Batman movie is going to be The Dark Knight, because they have Batman, and then he has the greatest nemesis of Batman of all time, which is the Joker.
Not to mention the best acting chops for the Joker.
No,
my boy Heath Ledger went all out in it.
He won an Oscar, but
even though he's dead,
it costed him, his doing that role cost him his life, really. Because
really
what he did to underwent that was insane.
Which is really unfortunate, because they were going to use him in Dark Knight Rises. They really wanted him to be in it.
No, it was so bad.
And unfortunately, after his death, they had to rewrite it. And a lot of people have said the Scarecrow, the scene in Dark Knight Rises where Scarecrow is like the jury, the judge, and all that. They think that Heath Ledger was supposed to take up that role.
Could you imagine Joker
him standing
being
there,
the courtroom judge of that scene, and watching Bane? Because Bane would be entirely different in that movie.
Yeah.
Just because Bane would have to add it's hard to top the Joker. Even in the sequel, the Joker's not in it. You have to top the Joker while the Joker's in the same scene.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy could not have done that. No. Granted, Tom Hardy did an incredible job as Bane.
Yeah. Also, all the people that says the voice was bad, nah. Okay. The people that said the voice was really bad
for Joker, or the
Bane. For Bane.
Bane was. You kidding me? The voice was perfect.
The voice. Okay, so I know they're going for really gritty realism, right? They were really going for that, and I get it. So that's why they didn't do the Venom thing with Bane and all that, the whole serum thing. And with the voice, what I find really cool is his face is so mangled up, and they don't even tell you why, which is also really.
Oh, they tell you why.
Wait, what did they do? Where? Wait.
You talking about for The Dark Knight Rises?
Bane.
Yeah, for Bane. So in The Dark Knight Rises, Bane was in the prison that Ra's al Ghul's daughter was born in.
Mm-hmm.
And when the daughter was growing up, eventually the doctor that was tending to the mother and the child left the gate open. So these guys get in and they start, first they go after the mother. Then they turn to the child. Before they even get to the child, Bane's going in there. He's beating up all these guys. And this is a prison where, in the movie, this is where the worst were going. You go there, you're not getting out, and you're lucky if you can die in there. Because that's how, that
was the torture thing.
That was the thing. It was easier to die than it is, you would want to die than live in this prison. So Bane was, beating up these guys. And then when the child gets up and he starts, climbing along the walls, because they're doing, the whole chanting thing when Batman goes and does, Christian Bale. You see him getting beaten up by all these prisoners because they're all coming after him because they all want to get after this kid.
I guess that's
that's why he's all mangled, because he got
dang
beaten up by all the. So you didn't remember that,
dude?
You never saw that?
No, I've seen The Dark Knight Rises a couple times, but I'm gonna be absolutely real with y'all. I haven't seen it as okay. Usually when I watch Batman movies, I always stick to just watching Dark Knight. Occasionally I watch Rises, and we're gonna get into my hot takes here in a second. Oh, y'all are gonna love these.
We go about to ride of it.
Y'all about to have a.
Well, tell me what you thought about the
new one. The new one. Okay. So a couple different things. I didn't care for it. There are aspects of it that I do like. I love a movie called Seven, and the Batman takes a whole lot of inspiration from that. That would include stuff like the atmosphere, how everything feels, the fact that it's really dark, the rain, the blackness of it all. Like it's basically just a reenactment of Seven, if you've ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
Really good movie. Would recommend. I can speak more on that in a second, but my main problem with it is, you guessed it, I don't like Robert Pattinson because he tries so hard to be himself from Twilight in Batman.
I knew you were gonna bring up Twilight.
What?
I knew you were gonna bring up Twilight.
I don't like it.
I know you don't like Twilight. Like, I don't like Twilight either. I knew you were not gonna like Twilight. I was like, it's like he's gonna bring up Twilight.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't even tell me about this earlier. I was like, he's gonna bring up Twilight.
Yep. And like, there's a couple other reasons why I don't like it. Like, for instance, oh boy, I hate the whole "you're not my dad" thing with Alfred. I really do not like that. The whole "you're not my dad" thing with my boy Alfred. And also, I think they treat Alfred way too harshly in this one. They don't really give him much thought. Like, he's just there to be there. And the times that he is there, I feel like they don't give him enough writing to really have that feeling of care. That's one of the things. I love Michael Caine.
Oh my goodness,
Michael Caine
as Alfred is iconic.
Dude, S tier performance.
Some of the lines he spoke, those are like quotes.
Which is the one about the some men want to watch the world burn.
That's a quote.
I still use
no,
that.
That is like that. No, so that was from the Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene, like, that gives. That's why it's That's why it's the best Batman movie, because you hear.
I was in Burma. It's like, dang, we're already starting off good.
No, it's like he's like, when we were in the jungle, they sent us to deliver precious stones, but the precious stones never arrived. The thief was stealing them. He's like, one day we're in a village and I see a child playing with a ruby the size of a tangerine. The thief had been throwing them away. And Batman's like, well, why would he even steal them? He's like, some men just want to watch the world burn. I butchered that whole scene, but
you get an idea.
Line is so awesome.
You get an idea, because the whole purpose is to get an impression on how other people feel about the Joker and what he's doing, and B, you get a little bit more info on he himself, on my boy Alfred, because you get an idea that he was in World War One. That was what Burma is.
I thought he was in World War II.
No, it was in both, but Burma was a battle in World War One.
Okay.
But you learn that. You learn so much about how he viewed his own comrades at the time.
Have you seen the Alfred show?
I have seen the Alfred show.
I knew. I was like, oh, I don't even want to ask, but I just gotta ask.
I have seen the Alfred
I haven't seen it yet. I saw it, like, the trailers when it came out.
Mm.
Did they wrap up the whole thing in one season, or was it like they could have done a second season?
They probably could have done a second season for sure.
But did they wrap it up, or did they like?
They wrapped it up, but
okay,
like a second season probably could have done it better.
There's some shows where like it's like a prequel where they can do like a lot of seasons with it, but sometimes they just don't want to do it because they're like already working on another project, which I think is what happened with the Batman movie.
Yeah,
because I don't know when the Alfred show came out.
Mm-hmm. I think it was about a year or so, wasn't it?
Year before, after, or year before? Before.
That
might have been why, because they wrapped it up because they had the Batman movie coming in.
Yeah.
Well, that and the guy that had to play Batman they had to play Alfred in the Batman 2022. Do you know who the actor was?
The guy who played Batman?
The guy who played Alfred.
Oh, he's the guy that plays as like Gollum. He's the guy that plays in. He plays a bunch of Marvel movies.
He was Ulysses Claw in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, he played in the King of the Apes movies.
Underrated villain in the.
Yeah, people don't understand.
No, they killed him off so quickly in the Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther.
No, they could have drug him out. Like, he could have been a main guy. Like, in the comics, in the shows. If you've watched the shows, you'll know Ulysses Claw. Like, they hate him.
Yeah.
They hate him.
Well, the whole point is he's an arms dealer and one of the biggest in the game.
Like,
I feel like
he's the biggest because he's got vibranium. If you have vibranium, you're basically the big guy.
And again, I feel like they could have done so much.
No, they could have done
like
so much
from
more.
Age of Ultron when he cuts off his arm, and then the only time he's ever shown again is in Black Panther, which they then kill him off. It's like,
well, he had when he was in Black Panther, screen time. There was the casino, there was the museum robbery, there was then interrogation, then there was him getting killed. Like, those were 4 big things, and he did well in that role. Because like, you looked at him, you're like, this guy is a psychopath, which Ulysses Claw was. He was a psychopath who It's like
He's all for money.
deranged.
He's all for money.
But then, like, you go from seeing him as a villain in the Black Panther movie, like a super cool villain, you see him go to be Alfred in the Batman movies. You're like, I don't hate him as Alfred. Like, he's really good as Alfred, but they don't give him a lot of stuff to work with.
That's the thing about him. He's a really good actor, and he'll do anything and
yes.
everything he can with what he's given. So I'm not hating on Alfred. I'm mainly hating on the writing team. I'm just saying, like, they did not give him enough. And then another thing I don't like about the movie is he's coughing on my car. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Disgusting.
Went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel that. Ooh.
You need like a good hit in the back.
Whew. I'm getting it.
Oh. Dang, he's still going.
Oh my goodness. Dude, I felt that.
You need help?
I think I'll be fine.
Yeah. Watch him throw up in my car.
I was at the gym yesterday, and I was working out, and I was doing legs. I was on the it was the leg press machine. It wasn't the squat machine, but it was
the
leg.
one about the pushing up.
Yeah, you got to push them up. I started feeling like I was about to vomit.
Dang.
And I felt that the day before.
Is it because it's like when you pull back, it's because it hits your stomach? Is that why? Or is it because you're putting too much pressure on it?
So I didn't have anything to eat before I left. I didn't drink a lot of water.
There's a problem.
I also had a cold. That was like, I was just then getting over a cold. So I was like, well, I don't want to push it. I don't want to, because I've seen people throw up from like dehydration.
Yeah.
I had a friend, Luis, who was playing indoor soccer, the soccer field at Liberty. He was having a cramp. He got dehydrated, threw up. So I don't want to throw up in this gym, this very very small gym in the upstairs. It's an okay gym, but have you seen it?
Which gym is
the Y over there?
Yes, I have seen that gym.
It's tiny compared to other gyms.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to throw up in it.
Especially for a Y.
No, for a Y.
I've been to a couple Ys.
People mostly go there for the pool.
Yeah.
And I think it's heated now.
But you would think for a Y, or a place where you have to pay so much for it.
Yeah.
That they would have a better gym. Maybe that's just me, but
do you know what they have downstairs where that indoor pool used to be?
Didn't they replace that with a basketball, or was that something else?
No, like in the first floor behind the front desk. Do you know what's in that space?
I don't think so, no.
Because it used to be an indoor pool. I know they took out the indoor pool, or they filled it.
I've only gone there.
It's hard to take it.
I've only gone there a couple times. That's when we first moved here.
I've lived in this area for like 10 years. So I was here when this area that we're sitting right now, this was a sunflower field. This was all a sunflower field.
Honestly, I can imagine
none of this was here. And there used to be like this right over there in that clearing between the trees.
If y'all don't know,
awesome ice cream shop.
If y'all don't know, we're right next to a Publix. It's right over here. And then there's a Smithfield's barbecue and chicken right over there. And then right behind us is the lovely Taco Bell.
That is the same Taco Bell I used to work at. I used to be the taco man of that Taco Bell.
He is the taco man.
I kind of retired.
He keeps saying that. I feel like he's going to go back begging on his knees. Like, give me my job back. Knowing him.
I don't know. It's like, I've been back for like a month from break. I've had a lot going on, but not that much. And it's kind of been boring. And like a guy with ADHD like me, who has nothing to do, and like nothing meaningful to do, and like there's not even any busy work for me to do, I felt lifeless. I don't have any passion to get out of bed in the morning anymore.
Honestly, you should have told me this. I would have gone out and hung out with you. Could have done some actually fun things.
It's even hanging out, like, because I went to now I'm in college. Like, I'm writing papers now, and it's stuff that's like challenging my intellect. Where it's not like high school where it's all just busy work. Mm-hmm. Where now I'm actually like writing out like essays and papers.
Yep.
I got to make videos for some of my classes.
I can't stand making videos, man.
I love making like this. This started out as a video project.
The thing is, for me, is like I'm a much better writer than I am a oral director speech. Basically, writing things, it just gives me time to think about what I'm writing. And oftentimes it works out better for me. And out of preference, time is something that I very much appreciate. So being able to write something over, let's say, give me about a week to write something. I'll take about 2 of those days. One day to just really think about it, and the other day just go ahead and write it all out. That's basically it.
I'm the opposite way. You give me a week, I can get that done in like 2 days. One day. Probably less than 2 days. You can give me a day actually. I can get it done today. We had to do an about me essay, like an actual like you have to be detailed about like who you are, like stuff in about this essay. So I was sitting there one day during campus community at Liberty. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
So I was sitting there in campus community. Those of you who don't know, they have a campus community thing on Wednesday nights where the whole campus comes together. We do like a big campus Bible study. That's what involves community groups. I'm a community group leader actually.
Uh-oh.
I got hired
That's
on. I technically work for the office of spiritual development on
Office.
the office. So for the office of spiritual development, I'm the very very last person on the totem pole.
He's a lot.
So
You'll notice he's always the last person.
I can say I work for a department. They're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm the very last guy on the totem pole."
I mean, you get what you can get. I'm just saying.
I get Caesar hours for it, and I have a ton of fun doing it. I got a free T-shirt. It didn't fit because it wasn't my size.
That's a mood.
No, so you know comfort colors, right?
Yes.
They're so weird. Some comfort color shirts they'll start shrinking in the wash. That's what this one did. I had it on, it shrunk in the wash.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I really stopped wearing stuff like cloth, like mainly cotton. I think.
I say that, but I'm wearing a comfort color shirt right
such a
now. Well, this
nerd.
one's a large, and the one I asked for was a medium because my size is a medium. But then like it shrinks in the wash. I buy shirts from Walmart. They shrink in the wash. So I have to buy a large. And the sleeves are too big because the sleeves won't shrink. But everything else about the shirt will shrink
I love that.
from Walmart. So I had like a Deadpool shirt that I got for like a medium. And it was that one we saw. Did you ever see that where it's like believe in yourself and it's like this?
Yeah, yes, I have.
I have one of those, but it shrunk. So I can't wear it anymore.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my Batman thing, but I have another thing.
We got way off.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
I'm going to go back to the Batman thing, but I have another thing I can bring up right after, which I think would be really funny. And it's another hot take. I'm sure everyone will know. But back to the Batman. Another issue that I have with it is there is an entire subplot, which takes up at least an hour of its time, that was never needed.
What's subplot?
The part with Falcone. The entire part. Two things, okay? And I know he's making that lovely little face over there.
That was needed.
No,
that
no,
was
no.
part of the movie.
Shush, shush, shush. Listen.
That was part of the whole
Listen.
Riddler thing. That did not take up an hour.
I was kind of just guessing. Anyway, let me explain myself. 20 minutes. Oh, don't even.
Okay,
hold on. I say Falcone. It's also anything with Catwoman, and I say this anytime she did not need to be in that movie at all. You take her out, nothing would have changed. And,
everything would have changed.
And, hey, you want to know what would have changed? The fact that she was just a little plot device to figure out that Falcone killed Batman's parents. Whoa, cool, right? And also,
Falcone didn't figure that out. Alfred told him that when he was in the hospital.
Yeah, because of her. She was the main reason.
No, she didn't tell him.
No, she didn't tell him.
You're gonna have to watch the movie again. I watched it. I watched it like 2 weeks ago.
Hey, watch it.
So I'm fresh off it. When was the last time you watched it?
You're gonna hate me when I say this.
2022.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like 3 years ago. I'm fresh off the movie. You're 3 years away.
That's a little less than 3 years, but yeah, it was basically that. I only ever watched it once, and I never watched it again because of how much I hated it.
I've seen it so many times with my dad. My dad loves watching it.
My brother-in-law loves it. I don't.
Well, so me and my dad, like he introduced me to Die Hard. We did a Die Hard marathon one time on Christmas Eve. So he likes watching stuff with me. He doesn't like how I act sometimes because I'll be like trying to talk, and he's like, Tyler, please
just watch the movie.
It's like, shut your face. He did that to me like last week when we had family over and we were all talking. And he's like, can you all be quiet? Eventually, he got so mad he put his headphones on, and and they're connected to the TV. So when you turn them on, it takes the audio away from the TV and puts it in the headphones.
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever seen the movie The Outlaw King?
What?
The Outlaw King.
I don't think I have.
It's on, what's his name? The Scottish King, the Bruce.
Is that like?
It's. Have you seen?
I feel like you're gonna say, have you seen Braveheart?
Braveheart. Have you seen Braveheart?
I've seen Braveheart.
Who was the Scottish prince in Braveheart?
You're asking. Are you talking about the guy that killed everyone? Or are you talking about the actual prince?
He was the Bruce. Like his last name was Bruce. I can't remember his name.
I can't rember it either. It's been a while since I've seen Braveheart.
Was it Robert?
Robert Bruce? No, I don't think so.
I think it is.
It doesn't sound right. I won't go on my phone, but I will definitely look that up just because.
No, look it up. Look it up real quick. I think it is Robert Bruce.
All right, hold on, young.
No, I think it was Robert the Bruce, but his last name was Bruce. Just look up like said K Siri, who was Robert Bruce?
Or I'm just look this up. Let's see. Ah, you were right.
I
Robert
knew
the
it. So
Bruce.
it's a movie about Robert the Bruce. How did I get to talking about this movie?
You were talking about your dad.
No, so yeah, so we were watching The Outlaw King, and I was the first one in my family to watch this movie. I've seen it so many times because it's so good. Highly recommend it for you, but
I
it's
would
only
have
on
to check it out.
Netflix. Do you have Netflix?
No, I don't, but I do have other ways.
Okay. Well, it's a Netflix original, so I don't know.
Oh, I have other ways. Don't worry.
Let's keep you out of jail and switch topics. So yeah, so we're watching this movie, and my dad puts these headphones on. They steal the audio, and I'm just sitting there, like sitting in our living room, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, did this man just steal the audio of a movie that I put on? Because I love this movie. I'm the one that put it on. Because my uncle left the room. Like my uncle was watching something. My uncle left. I put it on, and I'm like, did this homeboy just stole the audio of the movie I put on?
That's
I
funny.
look at him, and I'm too shocked and astonished to say anything. I'm like,
That's such a mood, honestly. And
it was so funny.
but like with the Batman, it's like the entire subplot with what's her face. Which, by the way, the whole she might be a lesbian thing is really dumb to me. But then it's like her entire relationship with Bruce is really weird. Like I don't know if you watched it 2 weeks ago. Is it weird?
It's kind of a.
It's just it's like the
They have potential. You can see it. Like I could definitely see.
well,
them.
the ending I think may have been potential, but like everything up to then really does not.
Well,
it's so weird.
You saw the end of The Dark Knight Rises, right?
Yeah.
Where he's sitting at that table
with
and Alfred.
what's her face? Yeah.
Is it confirmed that he was sitting with the woman that played Catwoman?
So
Or
Christopher Nolan's really good at being like, hey, I'm gonna put something at the end, but you won't really know.
I don't know if it's that. If he's like, because he's sitting at that cafe. Is he sitting with Catwoman? Because she was in that. It was Anne Hathaway. Is she hit it? It's like Christian Bale sitting with Anne Hathaway.
I think so, and maybe because the hair dude is the same, and like you could definitely tell the body wise, it's definitely Anne Hathaway. It could be someone different, and Christopher Nolan's just messing around with people because he does that. Like think of the end of Inception, for instance, but
Interstellar.
Yeah, that too. Sorry,
Interstellar was deep,
dude. Man, I love that movie.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah. I watched that movie with my boy Luke. Shout out my boy. And we went out to watch it at an IMAX theater over in Raleigh, and it was booming. It was awesome. One of the best experiences I've ever had with any movie in a theater. Would recommend, except you can't do it because they stopped doing it 2 weeks ago. Losers.
The movie came out like 10 years ago.
It was a re-release for its 10th year anniversary.
I knew it. I was about to say 10 years. I already said 10 years.
Nerd. Yeah, it did come out to 10 years ago, yeah.
Well, Godfather re-released after, I think it was 50 years.
Well, it came out in 72.
I think it re-released in 2022.
Yeah.
Because they made a watch off the movie.
Yeah, they did that, and they released a 4K box set of all three movies.
Oh, I think I have the box set of the 50th anniversary.
Was it the 4K?
I don't know if it's the 4K, but I know it's their 50th. It's because it says 50th anniversary thing on it. Is that the 4K one?
The 4K one's a black.
I can't tell with the
you can tell if it's 4K a lot. It's a little red box with a flower on it.
No, I didn't get that one.
Yeah, I have a black DVD copy of it. I don't know if it's the 50th. I'd have to look at that, but I do have a collection of them. Yeah. But yeah, I watched that.
That's an underappreciated trilogy now. This is the Godfather movies.
Well,
people don't know about those anymore.
That's sad, dude. Those movies go so
I saw
hard.
a Godfather T-shirt at Walmart, and I looked at that, and I was like, "There's gonna be kids that are gonna look at that shirt, not think anything of it. They're gonna go straight to like the SpongeBob thing." I was like, "That is insane." But that's kind of how. That's when I got introduced to the Godfather movies. It was something I randomly saw, and you kind of hear about Godfather, like the Godfather because it
in circles. It's just considered the best movie of all time. It's gonna be brought up.
It's so good. In terms of mafia, it's the best mafia movie of all time.
It's the only good mafia movie.
Well, have you seen
I've seen the Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. I haven't seen Goodfellas. Have you seen The Irishman?
I have seen The Irishman. That's the Netflix Martin Scorsese movie, right?
4 hours.
Yeah.
I watched that over like weeks because I was watching it in school. It took me weeks to finish watching it because of how long it is.
The movie itself is fine. I feel like it tries too hard to be what's. Okay, hold on.
Martin
Scorsese likes to make gangster movies. He was known for that in the 70s. And in the 90s, he picked it up again. And then he started doing it a little bit differently with the 2000s with The Departed, and then really decided to change it up with Wolf of Wall Street, which is garbage. But with Irishman,
I wouldn't call Wolf of Wall Street a mafia movie.
no. All the difference being one of them bases corruption within the mafia group, one of them bases corruption within blue collar groups.
I think it's white collars.
I call it blue collar.
I would not call those guys blue collar.
Well, considering a lot of them were from a construction group, then yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like, there's a point where you're like, yeah, I was blue collar, and then that's the point where like, oh, he's a white collar guy. It's like a
lot of the guys that he originally had start were blue collared, which is why I say blue collar. But
I've only seen part of the movie.
He makes movies based on corruption, which I get. There are some movies that should do that. Some of them shouldn't. Wolf of Wall Street is one of them. But something like The Irishman, it tries way too hard to be a 70s movie because Robert De Niro, he doesn't act like he used to. When with the whole CGI de-aging thing, they make him do all these actions that he could have done in the 70s. He can't do now. He's like what, 80 something now? He's old. He's old.
He's still having kids.
My man's got a social life.
It was either last year, a couple of years ago, he had a baby with his either his wife or his girlfriend. And like I thought about it, I was like, how old is
that's
this?
weird.
I started counting on my fingers, and on the radio they're like, Robert De Niro's having another child, and I was like, he's kind of old to be having children still. And they're like with his, I don't. There was a big age difference between him and his partner.
Really, would never have guessed that.
Did you know? Have you watched the Godfather show or the show they made off of making the Godfather?
Oh, yes, I know the what's it called? It's called The Offer.
That's The Offer.
That's right. I did watch that on Paramount.
I watched some of the episodes. I didn't watch it completely because at one point you got to look at it and you're like, I don't know if this really happened.
A lot of it was.
I heard that Robert De Niro was actually supposed to be the star of the film.
He was.
And then they didn't want Robert De Niro really. They wanted
Al Pacino.
They wanted Al Pacino. They managed to get, because didn't he go to Goodfellas and Al Pacino came to them? Or did he go to another movie and Al Pacino?
Goodfellas come out in the 90s.
Okay, well, either which way, they traded to get Al Pacino, and they traded Robert De Niro.
I think you're thinking of Mean Streets. Mean Streets.
That might have been what it was.
It was Mean Streets, which came out in 73, and then Godfather's came out in 72. And also, the reason Godfather is so well known is it changed the scope of cinema because it allowed certain things in it. It's like in the late 60s, movies like The Graduate and Bonnie and Clyde had a lot of violence, which is really when the things that were allowed were really starting to change. And in the early 70s, right after the sexual revolution and the People's Revolution, all of that, like Godfather was the very first one to actually utilize that. And ever since then, things have, in my opinion, gotten worse. But that's just
it ushered in an era that's still going on, the era of like crime.
Yeah.
It Godfather came out, Godfather 2 came out, Godfather 3 came out. Boardwalk Empire came out in that.
That was in 2010.
Well, 2010, but it was still like it was.
I
don't think there's a lot of shows that would not have come out if nobody ever made The Godfather, like The Sopranos.
Sopranos, yeah, that was
The
90s.
Boardwalk Empire.
Stuff like
even like cartels.
I'm thinking of like Peaky Blinders. And
Peaky Blinders. No, you've seen the show Narcos?
Yes,
heard of that?
I've heard.
I don't think that a lot of the shows that we have now that it's like it's based on like the cartel, based on money laundering. There wouldn't be a lot of these crime shows if it wasn't for The Godfather, because it ushered in like, oh, we can make movies about people going off and doing like organized crime. Like we can do that because like back then, organized crime was still it was not as powerful as some people thought it was. But it was still like you did not want to get on the bad side of someone that had power.
If you know anything about Bloody Valentine, you would know that there was some power within the mafia family.
Oh, during the Prohibition, it was insane. That was how
crazy.
everyone made money. Prohibition.
Well, I mean,
fueled.
So the government really tried to mess around with people with Prohibition, and people were like,
"It was such a bad idea."
And then the mafia was like, "Oh, we can abuse this for our own advantage," and they did.
Have you seen the Oversimplified documentary on that, or the
Yes, I have.
I love that. I watched.
Oversimplified so funny, by the way. Shout out
Oversimplified. Love that guy. Dude, he needs to start making more. It's
so
slowed
sad. Yeah,
down.
wait, what was the last one? The pig war?
No, the Punic War.
Punic War. I couldn't remember the name. It had started with a P. The Punic War.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched the Pig War. He did make a Pig War episode.
Yeah.
That one's also hilarious.
I love the ending.
That was when he was starting out.
I love the ending where it's like, Biden's coming, baby, about taking over Canada. It's like, yeah.
No, so when that Prohibition video came out, I was like starting to watch Oversimplified, and I saw it. I was like, Prohibition. I was like, what's that? I clicked on it and I started watching, and I was like, oh, alcohol was illegal at one point in the United States.
Yeah.
And then this was like right after I saw The Godfather. So then like you're watching, like you just go off and seeing The Godfather, and then you get to see like, oh, that's how the mafia got built up because Prohibition came in. Next thing you know, oh, the guys that are doing illegal activities, they're switching from this and they're going to selling alcohol. Like that's how the Kennedys. I think that's how the Kennedys made money. Yeah. Was moonshine. So many people. That's how this right here, Flowers Plantation. Mm-hmm. It's called Flowers Plantation. The Flowers family are running moonshine out of here. At one point, either during Prohibition, but they're running moonshine out of here, and people had no money to pay them. They started giving them land. So this is all like this whole area is based off of people using moonshine as a family business. They ran moonshine out of here.
There's a really cool movie. It's from the 80s, and
I love history.
I love history too.
I'm such a buff.
Yeah, dude, same.
I think I'm taking American history this semester.
I'm
so excited, and it's off the Revolution. I think up to the Revolution up till either past the Civil War or to the Civil War, and I'm so excited.
But the movie is called Once Upon a Time in America, and it actually does talk a lot about how mafia had rolled around with Prohibition. I wouldn't recommend you go watch it.
I think I've heard of that.
You probably have because I brought it up a couple times.
I think I might have even seen that.
Is the one with Robert De Niro? He plays in way too many gangster movies.
Well, he's kind of that guy though.
Yeah,
like him and Al Pacino. They're that. Well, then have you seen the Ocean's 11?
I have seen Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 13. Al Pacino's in there. He's that bad guy. He's that guy. He's that villain.
He's the guy.
He can play the bad guy even when like the bad guy is supposed to be like a good guy in this.
Also,
he's still that bad guy.
Ocean's 11 is such a cool movie.
That's a really good trilogy. Have you seen Ocean's 8?
That movie sucks.
It's okay.
It sucks.
It doesn't even touch them, but it's okay.
They try so hard to emulate what George Clooney and Brad Pitt had, and mess it up big time. Horrible.
It's not good.
I could not stand it. I own the trilogy, and I will only ever watch the trilogy.
I own all three of them too, and I have the one where it's the 4 one, so it comes to the 8th one. Mm-hmm. I don't hate the 8th one, but it's a fun one to watch if you kind of like the ocean movies, but it doesn't even touch Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12, I think, is the
weakest.
It's the weakest. It's not the worst, but it's not bad. It's just weak.
That one guy, that one scene with the guy dancing with lasers. I like that scene.
I thought it was okay.
I'm just referring to the scene itself. It's actually really cool.
Yeah,
I like the song choice too.
But what do you think is better, Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 13?
11. Easily.
Are
you a contrarian?
So here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
First one I ever saw was Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
Parents showed us, because they was on Netflix. We were watching on Netflix one night. We see Ocean's 11. Parents were telling me about it, like, oh, it's like a heist movie. I had no idea what heist movies were till that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we put it on. I watched it. I'm like, this is awesome. Next night we watched it. This was during COVID, I think. Next night we watched Ocean's 12. Awesome, really too. Cool. We find Ocean's 13. I'm like, oh my good! It went up to Ocean's 12. It was like, yeah, it's the weakest, but it's still it's an Ocean's movie. It's
a fun movie to watch anyway.
The cast is insane.
Dude, you
have George Clooney and Brad Pitt both in the same movie.
You got
throw in Matt Damon. You throw in Casey Affleck. You throw in
Andy Garcia.
You throw in so many of these guys. You look at them, you're like, I know them from this. I know them from this, and they didn't. Some of them, their breakout was the Ocean's movies.
I know a lot of people say this. They do not make them like they used to.
No, they don't make. You cannot redo the Ocean's movies now.
No.
But have you seen the OG Ocean's movie?
Yes, I have. The one with Frank Sinatra. I have seen that one.
That one is so good.
It's so ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time. That's why it was never a sequel. I think it's because it was so ahead of its time.
It didn't make any money. And unfortunately, and with that, It's a fun movie. You can go and watch it. You could tell that the concept is fantastic.
It was a really good idea. It was just, I think they did it way too soon.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
remember the casinos they robbed?
Yeah.
They were not big casinos. They
So-
obviously didn't have that much money, but
So
it was still such a cool idea to watch it on
the
play.
movie itself came out in the 60s, so it's an older.
Oh, that is well, you got to remember Sinatra. Well, even then, like the cast of that movie, huge. You have
Oh,
Sammy
yeah.
Davis Jr. You
Dude,
have Frank Sinatra.
if
you have
if you watch movies from the 60s, Ocean's 11 was exactly like it was back then, how it is for us today when we watch the 2000s version. It's the exact same.
you see like the casts, like an A-list of actors for Ocean's 11, the remake, A-list of actors for the Ocean's 11, the one that came out in the 60s. You got like Frank Sinatra already, Carrie's movies, Sammy Davis Jr. I can't. What's his name? The singer that was with Frank. That was like Frank Sinatra's buddy. It's so hard. It's so hard to remember everyone's names now.
Yeah.
We know
Especially people from back then.
Us, we're history buffs, so we already got to know and then we gotta we're talking about like Batman.
Yeah, we're
We're talking about high conversation about Batman. So everything else is getting pushed out of our brains.
Yeah.
I can't remember his. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Is he saying
Here.
pizza pie? No, he's saying that's amore.
I'm looking this one
I
up,
feel
man.
so disrespectful, not remembering.
Especially
his
since
name.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Let's see. Peter Lawford, Dean Martin.
Dean Martin.
That's right.
I felt
Dude, I love me some Dean Martin. I remember
Have you seen
him.
the movie where they came the Mr. Boo song?
Yes, I know.
What is the name of that movie? Because I've wanted to see it because it looks so good.
I have. I don't remember the name. I watched.
I could probably look it up.
I watched it off of a site. I won't say what, but I remember watching it off of that, and because one of my buddies, he was like, "Yo, you should watch this," and I did. But yeah, and then another thing, older movies people really overlook. There's a couple movies where there's a movie I would recommend everyone that I know not many people have seen. It's called Manchurian Candidate, 1962. Also Frank Sinatra. It's basically about a soldier who gets brainwashed by USSR and becomes an assassin to kill the next president. It's an awesome movie. You watch the brainwashing scene, which in and of itself was really disturbing to watch for a movie that came out in 62. And then you got the assassination scene, which also really disturbing. And then Frank Sinatra plays a detective who's trying to clue everything in. And you already know what happened, but you don't know by who, other than USSR, but someone in the group did it. So you're trying to figure all that out. It is so cool to see it unfold. And then they tried to remake it with Denzel Washington, but they really modernize it, and it's not as interesting. There are movies where remakes work, like Ocean's 11. There are movies where remakes don't work, like Manchurian Candidate. So, yeah. I love me a good old movie.
So I think when Ocean's 11 came out in 1960, I think it was so ahead of its time that where it's like, you got to look at it back, like Vegas was not as developed back then. Like, Vegas was big, but like the casinos they were robbing, they were like one-story casinos.
Yeah.
And like now, Vegas, like when Ocean's 11 came out with like George Clooney all in, they're huge. Like they're big enough to be, these are like billion-dollar hotels.
Oh yeah.
Like they're making a ton of money. That's like, oh yeah, you can make a ton of money.
Which would
robbing
explain
a
the
casino.
heist.
Yeah.
Right?
Explain like the heist idea thing.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward.
But back then, I think like Vegas was just not where it was now, where they were like, well, you're not going to make that much money robbing Vegas. So like,
another really good heist movie that I would recommend is The Heat. I don't know if you've ever seen the one with it has Al Pacino and Robert De Niro both in it, and one of them, Al Pacino's a detective, a dirty detective. He's high half the time, and Robert De Niro, who's the main guy who's trying to commit to the heist. And it's a cat and mouse game. It's a 3-hour-long movie. It's awesome. It's epic. I love it. And I own it. It's good. More heist movies, man. We need more of them. I don't see them.
Den of Thieves 2 is coming out. That's going to be the biggest heist movie of the year. Biggest heist movie in years actually, because when Den of Thieves 1 came out, it was a whole different type of heist movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now Den of Thieves 2 is coming out, and the cop from the Den of Thieves 1 is now on the heist team. I love that actor, by the way.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Gerard Butler.
I thought it was just Jared Butler.
It's Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. Love Gerard. Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Dude,
such a good movie.
The Fallen movies are so underrated
And then
too.
London Has Fallen is so good because Gerard Butler, he carries some movies.
He sold me on that type of stuff.
And then
man.
have you seen the 300?
I've seen the 300.
The first one, not the
I
sequel.
did not like the sequel.
I've seen both. I saw the sequel before I saw the first one. I wish I saw the sequel first because Gerard Butler, he's like because. Some line, like he literally has one of the most famous lines in all of cinema. This is Sparta. I
love that.
And then there's like, I brought more warriors. You brought like, what is your profession? Spartans. What is your profession? Like that's you watch the movie.
It gives you
that
help.
Like, yeah!
It's like watching Gladiator, dude.
Oh,
you watch Gladiator?
Have you seen Gladiator 2?
I have not.
Oh,
I'm afraid to because I really hope it doesn't taint my view of the first.
No, it
one.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
I seen Gladiator 1, so Gladiator 2 in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sequel that no one knew they wanted, that they didn't have to do, but they did it. I told my mom, it's not a movie. It's cinema.
It's cinema.
You have movies, you have films, and then there's cinema. This thing, I promise you, if you're disappointed in it, something's wrong with you. Because it's so, because you have Denzel, because that's how it was. That's how it was towards the end of Rome. That was the kind of corruption, that was the kind of stabbing in the back that was happening in Rome at that time. And you're seeing it through the eyes of, there's this guy coming in, and he's making everything topple, and there's this good guy that's trying to save it all, and you're just watching that unfold, and it's just blowing your mind.
He brings up Rome, and I thought I would.
He literally bought this today.
Hold on, that's the second one. Hold on. So HBO had like these miniseries, and I got these at like a thrift store. I got the Rome series. It's made of wood too. Hold on, I don't know if you'd be able to hear it. Like this is actually made of wood, and I got it.
These are the nicest
I've never seen DVD cases this good.
DVD cases, they don't make them like these anymore.
No, they don't.
You kidding me?
But I'm a big fan of history, and I love watching things that unfold said history. So seeing something like this, I'm actually very excited to watch, just because Rome in and of itself is a very difficult thing to talk about because of some of the stuff that happens in it, and a lot of times people will do their best to show it. I feel like a show like this might be able to do it justice, you know?
Well, it's so hard because of like how long the Roman Empire lasted.
Yeah,
and then how it collapsed.
How much history is behind it, and the politics of the time.
So much. And the politics of the time changed so many times. They started off as a Senate. Then they switched over to we kind of got a guy in charge. We still have the Senate. Then it got to a point the Senate's gone, and there's just a guy in charge. He's the emperor. There's so many politics that happened in the time of Rome, and then it's the fact how long Rome lasted. It was a city, then it went to a country, then it took over the Mediterranean, and then it was just an empire. It was insane.
It ballooned into taking over the entirety of
the Mediterranean.
Not even just the Mediterranean. It took
over. It had
so
chunks
much
of Africa. It had most of Europe. They even got Great Britain, which I thought was the hardest thing to do, is get Great Britain.
Rome getting Great Britain was probably their greatest achievement, in my opinion. The ability to get something, because Great Britain themselves
it's a huge
really
island, huge island,
big place, big old place.
It's granted there are some U.S. states that are bigger than Great Britain, but strategically, it's an island. It's hard to take an island from people that live there.
You wonder why Great Britain was so well known in wars back in the day. It was because of their strategic planning and putting the country in water. It was able to avoid so many attacks. France had tried many times. France lost many times because of that exact reason. They never had a decent navy. So them being on water really gave them that advantage.
Well, the fact they also went they had the best navy in the world. The biggest empire to ever exist was the British Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It was the biggest empire that stretched across the globe. During the highlights of the British Empire, they had the 13 colonies.
I still love the fact that America
managed to whip the tail of the biggest empire on the planet.
Our drunken, absolute pieces of crap
bunch of ragtag alcoholics.
The fact that we were able to take it was so funny.
One of these guys went off to start a beer company.
Yeah.
Or was it Sam Adams? Was that started by him?
Mm-hmm.
That was okay. So yeah, one of these guys went off, started a beer company.
And what's funny is back then, alcohol was basically the easiest export they could get.
Yeah.
It was the main thing that they were able to get and sell. So you can imagine a lot of the founding fathers just sitting around drunkenly being like, "Guys, we can take Britain again."
Could you imagine if they took away the tea instead of the alcohol? Do you think do you think it would be as successful or less successful? Because you got to think a lot of that was got to be drunken ideas.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But the thing is, imagine the alcohol sort of loosened them up to where they weren't as smart and they made some bad decisions at the start of because at the start of the Revolution, America was losing. Great Britain knocked us out of New York. The Continental Army was sent running. It was on the run up until Tryon, the Battle of Trenton, across the Delaware. That famous little battle that turned the American Revolution around, and then also the French started getting it, or not the.
I feel like also our strategies also had greatly gone up because once we got Washington involved, once he started getting into things, he was really aggressive.
Well, Washington was in charge when they came to New York. He was the big guy, and it was terrible for him because that first battle he was sitting running because they brought in an armada of ships.
Also, think about this: Napoleon did the exact same thing. He did the exact same thing in Egypt, and he left running. And people call it a win. If you look at it, it really wasn't. George Washington did the same thing. He came back and he whooped tail.
Oh my God! It was. But you got to think though. Imagine the alcohol was their weakness.
I like how alcohol is like the main thing.
It was their weakness. And imagine if they only had tea and they were just that much sharper. And you got to think, was the alcohol the reason they won, or was the alcohol the reason why we stumbled in the minute? And then eventually they put it down, and then they started like actually getting serious. Imagine they only had tea, and they were just the sharpest can be, and they managed to kick him out with in the first month.
Good fellow, shall we fight the British?
We must bomb the. No, I got to think though. Alcohol definitely had a reason to be while America is what we are.
I love the meme. America was built on beer. It's just
you got to think. Well, but these guys, some of these were kids. Some of these were teenagers.
Well, actually, if you look at it, George Washington, I think he was 26 when he became president.
Young guy.
He was a younger guy. He was a youngin. And most of the original presidents around, I think it was the first 10. Most of them were in their 20s. Most of the ones that ran. They make
them in history seem like they were so old.
Yeah, mainly because of powdered wigs.
It's the powdered wigs don't help.
Well, the powdered wigs was mainly because of syphilis.
That's true.
Yeah. Don't look at that.
Don't look up syphilis.
Don't look it up.
Don't get. But that shouldn't have brought up syphilis.
No.
I should have just left it at the wigs.
Yeah, but that was the main purpose of it, and that's why they were portrayed as such with so many of those. But yeah. I don't know, man. He was a redhead too. George Washington was a redhead.
Have you heard Shane Gillis describe?
Yes,
You've heard. Yeah. People are like, I don't know how we won the American Revolution. I'm not gonna say the word that he described. He's like, I know how. It's like we had a 6 foot something, I know guy running around.
I know what he's talking
being
about.
Like, let's cross the Delaware, let's take them. But you got to think though,
it was cold.
There was some bravery in there at one point. Either were bravery cold, or there was pure stupidity.
It was probably a mix of both. Let's be real.
It's got to be all that, and you got to throw in the alcohol in there because kidding me?
Again,
the way this country runs.
They were cold. They're run down food. They didn't have warm clothing. It was snowing. They were probably really bad on equipment.
This was probably their last stand. I got to think about it now. If they didn't win at Tryon or Trenton.
That sounds like a battle in Halo or something.
Oh no, Tryon was actually a governor of North Carolina.
Oh no, I'm just saying it sounds like it. That's why I brought that up. It really does sound like a battle in some Halo game.
No, yeah. So I think because I remember there's a movie made about Washington crossing the Delaware. It's called The Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie. It's on YouTube if you ever want to watch it. Highly recommend it. The acting in it is so good, and it has such great historical portrayal because it's made one of those historical societies.
Yeah.
When they made it, it was basically the last. This was kind of the last stand that we had to do. If we didn't win here, we were not set up to succeed.
Which would make sense because the British had already had a pretty decent hand in us.
Well, these were hired. This was a hired army we faced when we were in Trenton.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Hessians. Isn't pronouncing it right? The Hessians were The what?
Hessians.
The Hessians.
You pronounce the I.
It was they were hired Germans. It was was it a hired German army? They were somewhere from, it wasn't, they were somewhere from that area.
They were relatively built
They
up.
were somewhere from that area. So they were hired. It was a hired army. That's how big this empire was. They sent a hired army and took a whole town. And you see like the biggest army from the continental United States is facing off against this hired army. And we're like, this is kind of our last stand, guys. Like, if we don't do something big here, like, we are going to have to.
And also the fact that we won that. Like,
it's insane.
And then also, like, if you really look at it.
But no, they planned it so well because they knew they attacked Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, huge party they were throwing there at that town.
They would have never seen it coming. That's what's really cool about it. It's like they act.
Yeah.
Even with all the alcohol, even with all the.
I gotta think about it again. There had to be some smarts in there. The way they planned that out.
Yeah,
it was so smart.
Again, he was aggressive. He wanted to go in where it hurt and hitting on something as special to them. Like like most times in wars, if you look at it, Christmas is usually when things are stopped. My man said, "No, we're hitting them hard that day," and they did. And like you can think of like the Christmas truce of World War I.
It was it 1914?
Yeah, 15. I think it was. It's like 15. Or 16.
I know they played soccer. They made a movie.
They did. They
no, that's what people say. Soccer is not the biggest sport in the world. Soccer was part. So that's not the truce didn't start because everyone wanted to play some soccer. It was a mix of things. It was the Christmas time. Like these two armies obviously been fighting each other for a long time in the trenches.
And after a certain while, I'm sure.
After a certain while, you're just like, it's Christmas Day. I don't want to fight and kill somebody on Christmas.
Yeah.
I want to be sitting with my loved ones.
The entire point of Christmas is to celebrate Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. And right after they had gone up and done all that thing, they actually put up a cross. They
put up so many statues because it's an inspirational moment in time.
Yeah, like there's a song by Sabaton, which I was showing him Sabaton earlier. They made a song on Christmas trees. And there's a video which is basically just one like a short story, but like a movie, a cinematic of it. Really cool.
I've seen that video so many times.
So good.
Do you know the guy that plays Baron in the Captain America Civil War?
Yeah,
he was in that video. I'm not kidding. He was on the German side. Have you seen The Gentleman, the third one?
The Gentleman?
The Gentleman? Like the movies, The Gentleman?
I don't think so.
Oh, no, sorry, the Kingsman.
Oh, I have seen The Gentleman.
Okay, hold on. The Gentleman is actually a movie that has Matthew McConaughey in it. And
I was thinking of Mud when you brought that up. Sorry. Anyway, continue.
Also recommend that you watch The Gentleman.
That's
one of those it's one of those crime ones. This guy's trying to sell off his massive drug empire.
I do remember that. It's the clip where he's like, "You tailor my wife." I remember that clip.
The pound. That's also an iconic movie because the scenes that were in it were so iconic. Some of those lines are just absolutely insane.
Minor. I figured it out.
But no, yeah. So you've seen The Kingsman.
Yes.
Have you seen the third one?
The newest one? I think I have.
The guy that also plays Baron von Zemo in the Marvel movies, and that was also in the Christmas one. He was also in the Kingsman movies.
I remember him from Inglourious Bastards. He was in that, yeah.
That was awesome. The Trenton or the Quentin
Tarantino. Yeah.
I'm
You're really
the Quentin Tarantino films. I watched a podcast with Joe Rogan interviews him, and he interviews another guy. He was that writer that went to jail for manslaughter, or prison for manslaughter. Do you remember his name?
No, I don't.
He was tweeting. Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there. He is telling a story of how when he was in prison, he was tweeting because he was allowed to have a phone because he was in protective custody. He was tweeting while he was in prison, and he'd be tweeting random things he saw. And the biggest guy on Twitter at that time it was like this. I don't remember who it was. The biggest guy on Twitter found out about him in prison, tweeting about all the stuff he was seeing in prison. He was like blowing it up on Twitter because he was like reposting it. Like this random person in prison somehow has a phone and they're tweeting about the things they are seeing in prison, and like the things you're tweeting, like, oh, I saw a guy get stabbed today. I saw a guy get beaten by the guards today. And that's like, even then, like you're thinking about it, that's an insane thing to tweet. Like
I
insane
saw a
thing
guy
to even
get stabbed
report.
today. It's like most people are like, oh, I saw a
It's
cute little flower.
insane.
Oh, I saw a bunny out on the road. Oh, yeah. I saw a guy get stabbed in the morning.
No, yeah. So like he's tweeting the things he's seeing in prison, and like the biggest guy on Twitter is found him, and he's retweeting these things. So it's like it was insane. So
That's some
that
crazy
was the
stuff.
story he was telling when he was in prison. But no, so like then they're talking about it. So in the podcast, they're talking about how Quentin Tarantino and this guy got into like making movies. I wish I knew his name because he's like one of the biggest. He's a big filmmaker, big writer.
Was it Levy? Is Sean Levy? Is that right?
Oh, it's not Sean Levy.
I don't know why I thought Sean Levy. I guess because I got Deadpool in the mind. My bad.
Oh, Deadpool also. But no, the
Oh.
Quentin Tarantino films, the Hateful Eight, Django Unchained.
Oh, I don't care for Quentin Tarantino movies, but I love Inglourious Basterds. That's a good movie.
You say that and like
I do love it.
that's also one of the greatest movies ever filmed. Is that movie? That's that World War II documentary, or that's that World War II movie you can show to anybody, and if they say a single thing bad about it, you can be like, "You're an American."
Yeah,
you're an American.
Get out of here. It's like the acting is really good, the writing is really good.
It makes you feel like that's how you wish World War II went down.
I wish, man. Watching Hitler get gunned down.
No, it's so funny.
It's so crazy. But like,
and then the way they end it.
Oh yeah, like the whole
that scene has been used in so many films. Like it's like, oh, I've been shoot out before.
I've been shoot out before.
I'm fine with that deal. That's a darn good deal.
No, it's Yudovich. You take that deal. Yudovich, you take that deal. Yeah, I take that deal. Yeah, I don't blame you. Dang good deal.
It's a darn good deal.
Also,
we're not saying the actual word because we don't swear.
He said that word.
We don't swear on this podcast.
I will also say Brad Pitt saying "Buongiorno" is one of the best things ever.
Brad Pitt kills in that movie.
It's
so funny. The point, he's never played a Southern man in his life. Quentin Tarantino calls him up. Play a guy from Kentucky that goes over to Europe undercover and's got to hide this fake accent that you're trying to use that you've never like. It's like tell me an accent of a guy from Kentucky you've never been to Kentucky. Buongiorno. Like it's so funny. It's a comedy movie mixed in with like an action, but it makes you think.
A story, history behind
it's such a good movie.
And it was like,
can't get over that.
I love the beginning where it's like, I want my 100 scalps, and you will get me my 100 scalps. And I love it, like he puts breaths in between his. I want my 100 scalps.
I almost signed up for the army. I'm pretty sure if I lived in any other generation that I would not be the same person I am now. I imagine in myself if I was in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'd be a very, very bad person.
He'd be like a Canadian in World War II. And if you don't know much about Canadians in World War II, they were not good people.
I feel like I would. I feel like the reason why God put me in this God does things for a reason. I feel like the reason that I'm in this timeline is because if I was in any other timeline, I would not be a Christian because I would get involved in wars. Like I don't know.
If he was born in like the 50s, he would 100% have fought in Vietnam.
I would have probably no. I probably would have been organized crime.
Even worse.
I'm thinking about it. I was like, I probably would have been an organized crime.
Why do I feel like you of all people would have joined Vietnam War and you would just been like committing war crimes at the time?
I don't know. I feel like I would not be I feel like I would be a terrible person if I was born during a time of war. If I was alive during a time of war.
I mean, you were alive during. When were you born again?
2006. Well, it was Desert Storm.
Desert Storm was, yeah.
Well, there's like a major war, like a world war we're talking here. Like Vietnam, big war. But that was because you compare it to Korea.
Korea was unfortunately it's considered the forgotten war.
Korea is because it kind of ended like a stalemate.
Yeah, but
we kind of split it. We were like, both of us were like, we don't really want to fight this anymore because it
comes off the heels of World War II, and America's just like,
we're like, we don't really want to fight this, but then we go off and we fight in Vietnam.
Yeah,
and there's many people have many feelings about Vietnam.
Now you look at the politics at the time, you look at politics now. Vietnam is a very controversial topic. And it's just,
I like to see Vietnam did what we did during the revolution. Vietnam, because I got to think about it. America came in, and we were like, we don't want you guys involved in communism. And we were kind of like Great Britain telling this country that we're not even connected to what to do. So sometimes I think about it, I was like, Vietnam did what America did in the revolution. And the reason why America won in the revolution, we knew the layout of the land. The reason why people in Vietnam won, they knew the layout of the land. That's why I'm thinking, like, there was many reasons why people wanted to go to Vietnam, many reasons why people did not want to go to Vietnam. I think that when you think about it after, from a strategic point, when you look at all these wars, it was a terrible idea to get involved in a country that we were not connected with. We weren't allies with this country, and like they called us like we're being overtaken by communism. We need you guys to come here and like start stabilizing things. Like we kind of just showed up because we wanted to stop communism.
Yeah.
Which
even then is also kind of
it was basic. Like it's debated for a while why we got involved for reasons we did.
A lot of people say that we got involved in Vietnam because not just because of that. I feel like a lot of people thought about that. It was a political stunt. It was
Some people think of it as that.
A lot of people. I mean, a lot.
I think JFK was JFK alive when that happened.
Yeah, he was alive during that time.
I think he wanted to get us out.
He was trying to, and then
who was the one that got us out of Vietnam? Was it? It wasn't Reagan.
No, it was not Reagan. Reagan came after.
It was before Carter, because Carter had the Iranian.
Mm-hmm. See, this was.
I got to think about this.
Was that 75 or 76?
I think it was in the 70s.
It was mid 70s when we finished.
The trial for the Chicago 7, I think, happened in the 70s, and that's when they were protesting the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that movie, The Trial of the Chicago 7?
Yes, I have.
Such a good movie too. That's
very underrated too. People.
It's so underrated, and I think it's because it came out during a time when Netflix just started making originals. People were like, "We don't know about this yet," but that's like a really good movie. I've seen that one so many times.
I did want to bring this up. War crimes. Who's ready? You? I know you are. Yeah, you. Unit 731. You know what that is?
No.
Oh boy. After this, you're gonna go into Wiki and you're gonna start looking. Do you know what Massacre of Nanjing is?
What?
Massacre of Nanjing.
China? Or is it Japan?
Japan attacks China. Oh,
you talking about during World War II?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was terrible.
Yeah.
That's why communism got involved in China. Because of how bad the Japanese messed up China.
So, I want you to go and look at a geographical map really quickly.
Watch Midway.
Watch Midway.
Watch
Midway.
Was it 2017 Midway or is it 2019?
It's actually a remake.
No, it's the remake.
Yeah, I know.
No, watch the
Really
remake. Watch the remake of Midway. You will see what happens to the Chinese people when the Japanese come in. It's terrible.
I would also recommend,
it's way worse than what they showed in that movie. I think they dialed it down, but it's terrible.
I would also recommend looking at a couple other things. Go watch a show called The Pacific. It basically shows how disgusting the Japanese were during battle and such. Another thing I would look at is just Google, Wikipedia it. I don't care. Unit 731. I'll try and go into it, but I ain't gonna go into every single detail because some of them shouldn't be said. You can read it yourself. I ain't gonna say it. Basically, Unit 731 was Japan's version of the Holocaust.
No one knows about that. People don't talk about that.
No? It was basically...
It's terrible.
It was basically... They took in a bunch of Chinese POWs, a bunch of Chinese civilians, and a bunch of people like that. And they would experiment on them. They would commit open heart surgery while they were awake. They would cut off their arms. They would do all this stuff with no pain, anesthetic. And if they had gone out, if they had like drifted off or whatever, they would give them adrenaline so they could still feel it. See how long they could live with adrenaline. Sometimes they would have people be put in like these little tubes, and they would put in certain biochemical gases, and they would just see how long it would take you to die or the effects of it. They did that to children. Do not ask me how. They did. So there's this one I remember reading. Some guy, they go out, and they put him on his knees, and they get him on his arms. And basically, he was sitting up like that, and they had two different types of guns for generals. What they would do is they put the gun up against the shoulder, and they would try and see how far across the body it would go, just to measure and see how much. Yada yada. They would shoot it, and then if they didn't die, they would see how in this part and then further down the body, and they would just do that over and over.
They can't see you. Most people just hear this.
Yeah.
So like in the stomach and then like further
from
down.
the stomach and then down to the legs, and sometimes they'll do it to the ankles. They were basically trying to see calibers and how that would work.
No, it's terrible. They
Yeah, dude.
there's
I
some
even
people got a lot with the people still get away with what they did. They used to like they're still I think they're still arresting people from like the Nazi concentration camps.
Yeah.
And these people were like 100 years old.
Yeah.
There was I think there was the news came out about this Canadian guy from Canada. I think he was given like a medal or something. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's a story I heard. There was this guy from Canada that got a medal because he served in World War II. Later came out he was not fighting on the Canadian side. He was actually a German that escaped after World War II. He was arrested because he was a part of the Nazi concentration camps, and he was found to be either a guard or a managing some of these camps. And I think he was sent to the Geneva, or he was sent to like a trial. But I don't know if he was given a medal. I still don't remember much of the story. It was like a short story, but I know like a lot of these guys got arrested and they were in their hundreds and they were in their 40s, 50s. Some of these guys were in their 30s when this happened.
Yeah.
So 70, 50, 60 years later, they were getting caught for this.
And it's
terrible.
You're gonna love this. Would you like to know the aftermath of Unit 731? I'm sure you do. So when the Americans found out about this, they went up to the main guys that were okayed it. They're like, all right, you get two choices. A, you die. Pretty simple enough. Or B, you give us all of your information, every single one, every single piece, all of your research, and you're just going to give it over to us, and we're going to send you over to the Russian government, because the Russian government is nice.
Oh no, those guys got killed by the Russian government.
Just wait.
Are you kidding me?
Just wait. So the Americans, the Japanese choose the latter of those choices, and then they give all their research over to America. So now we actually know how and what happened. And there's even some video evidence, which has never been released. It's only known that it exists. But they go over to the Russian government, and the Russian government, they're already kind of on the fritz of Japan because they were they weren't part of the Axis. They're already kind of on the fritz about Japan, and they let him go. They give him a slap on the wrist.
Russians?
Yeah, they did.
You serious?
Yeah. You would think that the Russians, of all people, would go ham on him, but they didn't. That's what's really weird to me.
Well, it was the aftermath of World War II, and the two biggest global powers were the Russians and the Americans, and neither one of them trusted the other.
My guess was just to keep relations relatively at ease with each other. That's my guess. I could be entirely wrong on that.
I think it's one of those situations where guys slip through the cracks because of what was happening because right after World War II, then there was a couple years or even there was a time like, okay, we're not going to do it again because this is the Second World War, guys. Like, there have been 2 world wars and they've just decimated Europe. They caused a country, like, we went so hard in this country that this country rose up and like almost ruined. Like,
Versailles really messed up.
The Nazis were really, I don't think we understand how, like, before America got involved and the Nazis were doing their things and the Russians were on their side, they could have been unstoppable. When they turned on the Russians, that was when they messed up. If they would have waited a while, so after they took all of Africa, after they moved into Asia, and then like, oh, okay, they could have started like rivaling the Russian army. Yeah. Like, but they chose
got a little too greedy.
If they would have waited. Because it was like a couple of years, I think they could have gotten the Russian army, and like we could all be speaking German.
I honestly, that'd be funny.
Have you seen A Castle on the Hill?
Yes, I have.
On Prime? Yeah. That show looks. I've watched clips. It's so creepy of how like it could have been.
So a couple different things. Germany's rush into Russia, I feel like was an aggressive tactic used by them because after Stalingrad, and after the many, many deaths of German and Russian
what was the fact they were also big rivals in World War One.
Oh, yeah.
So this was it was Germany's revenge. They wanted revenge on everyone.
Yeah, and again with Russia and Stalingrad, I feel like Germany got really pissed off. And once that was over, they're like, all right, we're gonna go all in.
Well, it was a man that was bent on just getting revenge.
Oh, yeah.
They put in charge.
See, Hitler...
It was terrible.
People seem to ignore the fact that Hitler he had a very intelligent view of politics, but at the same time, he knew how to corrupt it.
He was like, it was if he could have done good for his country, he could have
He
been a
could
hero.
have.
But he was so bent on revenge
That he was
that
like,
he created and did some of the most horrific things that this earth has ever seen.
mm-hmm.
That have been, they made Genghis Khan look like a little snowflake compared to
Yeah.
some of the stuff he did and
Yep.
some of the stuff that he let happen, which is terrible. There's probably stuff that happened that no one even knows about because of
Yeah,
how
like-
much they like. There's so many cover-ups. There's so much stuff they probably guarded their tails. There's probably stuff that happened that even
So-
the intelligence community still doesn't know about.
Here's one that I feel like a lot of people don't know. Germany, similar to that Unit 731, not the same, far from the same level. They also did a lot of biochemical testing on people.
Oh, everyone knew the well, they did it on. It was terrible.
Yeah,
it was
they-
worse than the camps.
A lot of people believed that they did it on certain Jews. Usually, a lot of the Germans, they seem to have viewed. They took a lot of the special Jewish leaders of certain revolutions and would take them. And this isn't entirely confirmed, so take this with a grain of salt. Do your own research. But from what I've seen, a lot of them were believed to have been experimented on. Usually really grotesque ways. You can look it up. There's a lot of really weird things out there about Germany. And like you said, many cover-ups. I would not be surprised if you tried looking something like what I just set up, and there'd be like, well, actually, because
who knows who's involved? Because I think there's stuff that that Germany did in World War II that no country alive, that no one figured out or no one knew about because of how well they hid it and how well they covered it up. Because there was a point where everyone knew time's coming. We're not winning this war.
Oh yeah.
We got to start shredding and burning some stuff, guys.
Oh yeah.
We got to start hiding some things that we did because some of us are gonna go down, and we're gonna go down hard. And that's those big guys did not walk away. Those guys that were they got those guys quick. It was those guys that were like the guards and those little guys. They got away for a while, but they eventually got them.
Okay. I'm gonna go off the German thing here because as interesting as this is,
yeah, we're talking a little too much about the Nazis.
Yeah, my bad. I brought it up. That's actually, Inglourious Basterds kind of.
Tony, we go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, my bad, guys. But I do want to talk about something. Deadpool.
Did you see the new Deadpool 3?
I did watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
I saw clips on YouTube. That's what convinced me to go see it in theaters.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know why I waited. I don't know why I was like, well, I don't want to know if I'm going to see Deadpool 3. But then I saw a clip. It was the clip where they're in the minivan.
Oh yeah, that's
and
a
then
funny clip.
he's like says that. He's like, what are you going to say? Mouth.
Mouth.
That's just what convinced me to go see it because I was like, that looks hilarious.
Who wants to hear a really funny story about how I watched it? I
want to hear it.
YouTube.
You watched it on YouTube?
2 days after the movie released.
Oh, you were telling me about it because you watched it and then it got taken down.
Yeah. So on YouTube for about 12 hours, some guy had uploaded a pirated version. Now, said pirated version was actually really good. It was 4K. It was 122. It was good. Like, it looked fantastic. And I watched it on it. And I watched it twice on it. Once with my brother and once with...
That's what got him, is when you watched it twice. That's when everyone knew.
Yeah.
The FBI
they got me, man.
The FBI guy that was tracking me was like, he's going back to it again. We got to shut it down.
But, like, seriously, YouTube did not notice it for so long. And so many people got to watch it for free. And I only got lucky because I was scrolling through and just out of the blue, Deadpool and Wolverine, full movie, 4K, UHD. And I'm like,
I cannot stop eating these Shaqalosis gummies.
Yeah, they're good, bro. But, like, yeah, it's super funny to me because there's no way they allowed that, but they did.
It's insane.
And guys, look, hold on.
You made a Shaq Pop.
It's a Shaq.
If you could freeze it, I wonder how that would taste if it was a popsicle. Because it's a lollipop. Now I'm telling you, these things are so hard they could be like lollipops.
But Deadpool Wolverine itself is actually a really fun movie. I think story-wise, it's really silly.
Well, it gets serious from time to time. That Wolverine, it goes so deep for no reason.
Have you seen the movie Logan?
I've not seen the movie Logan, but I know it gets deep.
You need to go watch Logan. It's such a good movie. One of my favorites. One of the few times I feel like a Marvel movie is ever actually being good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey man, thank you for coming on. I
You know,
really
son.
appreciate it. And I gotta end it as always. Talk a little football. Shout out to Notre Dame. Upset Georgia. Loved it. Everyone knows out there, I'm a Roll Tide man to the day I die. I'm wearing my Roll Tide Hey Dudes right now. You're obviously a Tennessee Volunteers
Go
fan.
Vols!
Don't like that. But we have a common enemy. Neither of us want to see Georgia win.
Nope.
Neither of us want to see Texas win.
See,
I want to see a non-SEC team, and my grades, I got to put all mine on Notre Dame.
yeah, man.
Granted, Notre Dame has won a lot of national titles, but I have nothing against Penn State. I kind of want to just see Notre Dame win.
Can I shout out?
Yeah, shout out. Give a
Shout out to
football.
Vanderbilt for destroying Alabama.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know what's gonna happen next year?
You know,
Next season, if you guys lose to Vanderbilt during Rivals Week of all.
Dude,
did you watch any games during Rivals Week?
I did watch a couple.
Did you see the Ohio State versus Michigan?
No, I don't think I did. No. Was it good?
There was a fight at the end.
Oh,
There was a brawl at the end of that. There was a brawl at the end. Like there was like multiple fights. There was a fight going on during the Iron Bowl.
dang.
2 fights broke out. I was watching it, and I'm like, this is the first football game college that I've ever seen. First football game I've seen in a very long time because I just got out of football for a while. People got me back into it, and I'm just watching. I'm like, this is absolutely insane. I was
College has always been much more
college,
rough-handed than
it's-
NFL.
well, there's so much at stake in college because if you make it big in college, you're going to the NFL.
Oh yeah,
That's it. Like you don't have to prove anything in the NFL because you're already in the NFL. Like you've beaten so many people just to get to college, which is awesome. But then it's like there's so many colleges out there where, yeah, you now have to go and face off against a bunch of other colleges, and there's more than one conference. But then you get to the NFL. It's the NFL. That's it. The highest milestone you can then win is Super Bowl. As soon as you win that, if you
You
want
can
to win,
basically retire.
if you want to win the MVP, you can win the MVP. But if you win the MVP in the Super Bowl, you've practically accomplished everything you needed to. If you win a national title while you're in college, awesome. Some of the greats never won a national title when they're in college. That's okay. I don't think Tom Brady ever won a national title,
No,
and I don't think Peyton Manning ever won a national title. But
Oh, I thought he did.
Peyton Manning,
Yeah, I thought he did.
national title.
Yeah,
Did he play for Tennessee?
No, he didn't play for Tennessee.
Or did he play? I don't know where he played. Did he play for Ole Miss?
I'd have to
I don't know why I put my seatbelt on.
He is silly goose.
I should know this. Peyton Manning is the hero of Indianapolis. He's still, even though he hasn't played for the Indianapolis Colts, he played for the Broncos and won a Super Bowl with Broncos. People love him in Indiana. Like, people love him in Indiana. It's
They love
hilarious.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I don't just like him; they love.
They love him. All right, well, thank you for coming, watching this. This is a kind of like an edited episode. We had basically, my phone at one point said, I'm done filming. You've reached the limit that you can have to for this video. So it's a two-parter that I've collided. So I'm going to try to get this edited. If not, then and I don't know. I'm going to figure something out. Got to figure it out somehow. I think I get Adobe for free, though, with
Do you?
my Liberty thing. Someone told me I get Adobe for free.
I'll look into it to see if I can find you a decent editor because I've looked into.
I just don't want to pay for an editor.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I don't know. I run an unedited show.
Yeah.
So I just don't like editing things.
I
normally do this on my computer, which is why I have so much more space. But like, I've been having to film on my phone because I've been like, this is the second episode I filmed in a car, and like the first one, it got to like almost 120, which I guess it was really close to capping out, which is what happened here. We capped out.
Yeah.
So you officially, not only did you cap out the phone space, you have the longest episode straight right now.
Yes, sir, son.
But week after week, we're just getting longer. It's insane. I know no one's gonna watch this entirely. Maybe.
Nah, probably
maybe. But I'm making for me. I make them because I like to have fun. I like to have these kind of conversations.
Yeah, man.
But granted, we had this conversation. Like we've been having this.
Now,
When did we start hanging out today? We met up at like before 3.
yeah,
We've been hanging out for
Yeah.
more than 6 hours.
Yeah,
We've been having these conversations more
we-
than 6 hours.
dude, you should have seen some of the conversations we had earlier. Like, if we could have that on here, it'd be so funny. You know what you should do at some point?
What?
We should have a driving one where you can have this like stuck down, and while we drive, we can talk. Have you seen those ones where
That'd
it's
be
like,
a fun one.
it'd be a little bit harder to do just because you'd have to figure out where to go and all that, but you could have some decent conversations while you're driving.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
you just gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't condone distractions on the road.
It's like have you ever seen that Jerry Seinfeld thing where he goes around driving with his friends and he just talks like one of those, you know?
No, I haven't seen that. Is it the episodes?
It's not one of the episodes of Seinfeld. It's just
Oh, the show he does.
yeah.
He did that with Barack Obama one time. And he tried to get him out of the White House.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama's security team was like, no.
No.
Literally, like Obama was in the shotgun. Obama was sitting shotgun in the Stingray, and or in the car, and they were like, no. They're like, you cannot leave the compound
That's
in
really
this car.
funny.
They're like, no. They're like, we weren't even aware that you were in the car. Like, please get out of the car.
Seinfeld
sir.
really tried to kidnap.
They're like, please get out of the car, sir. And they're like, this is their boss. Like, this is their boss's boss. They're like, please get out of the car, sir. And he's like, all right. And he just gets out. That it's so funny.
I mean, then again, last time some dude tried driving out in public. I mean, his brain kind of just. So, yeah, you know how it is.
That's a terrible. So, cannot believe you just did a JFK joke. That's insane.
I'm sorry,
well,
guys.
Thank you for
I had
tuning
enough of the funny joke.
Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, drop us a follow and a like if you're on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, obviously you're not going to get this far. You only get about 15 minutes an episode. You're probably not honestly even hearing this at all. But if you're on YouTube and Spotify, give us a like, give us a shout out, give us a comment, and give us a subscriber follow on whatever platform you're on. Only have 3 platforms that we're on. So if you're on anything else like Facebook, that's not me. So please don't.